It was a Tuesday, a day like any other, or so it seemed. September 11th, 2001, a date that would be etched into the annals of history. A beautiful, crisp autumn morning in New York City. The sky was a perfect, cloudless blue, the kind of day that made you feel alive. The sun glinted off the skyscrapers of Manhattan, casting long shadows and illuminating the city in a golden hue. Commuters crowded onto subways, coffee in hand, ready to start their workday. The city was bustling with its usual energy, a symphony of movement and sound. In Washington, D.C., the seat of American power, a similar scene unfolded. The nation's capital was waking up, its streets filled with people heading to their offices. Politicians and staffers arrived at the Capitol, preparing for another day of debates and decisions. The machinery of government was in motion. No one knew that within hours, everything would change. The ordinary would become extraordinary in the most tragic way. The world was about to witness an act of terror that would scar the American psyche forever, an event that would redefine the 21st century. At coffee shops around the World Trade Center, people lined up for their morning caffeine fix. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Some chatted with colleagues, others caught up on the news. Conversations flowed easily, filled with the mundane details of daily life. Inside the towers, office workers settled into their routines. Emails were sent, meetings were scheduled, and the day began like any other. The familiar hum of keyboards and phones filled the air. The rhythm of work was a comforting constant. It was an ordinary morning, the kind of morning that felt predictable, safe, and routine, a day like any other. Until it wasn't. In a matter of moments, the world would be forever changed. At 8:46 a.m., the unthinkable happened. American Airlines Flight 11, en route to Los Angeles from Boston, slammed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The impact between the 93rd and 99th floors sent shockwaves through lower Manhattan. The force of the collision was felt for miles. People on the streets looked up in disbelief. A plume of smoke and debris billowed into the sky. Confusion reigned. Was it an accident? A terrible malfunction? News crews rushed to the scene, broadcasting images of the burning tower across the globe. The world watched, horrified, trying to comprehend what they were seeing. Minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., as smoke and flames consumed the North Tower, another plane appeared. The world watched in horror as the events unfolded live on television screens. The initial shock of the first impact had barely settled when the unthinkable happened again. United Airlines Flight 175, also from Boston, headed straight for the South Tower. The plane, moving at an incredible speed, seemed to be on a collision course with the building. People on the ground and those watching from afar could only gasp in disbelief. This time the impact was even more horrific, captured live on television. The explosion was massive, sending debris flying in all directions. The South Tower was now engulfed in flames, adding to the chaos and confusion. The plane, a Boeing 767, sliced through the building between the 77th and 85th floors. The structural damage was immense, and the fire spread rapidly, making rescue efforts even more challenging. There was no doubt now. This was a deliberate attack. The coordinated nature of the strikes left no room for speculation. America was under siege, and the scale of the devastation was unprecedented. Panic gripped New York City. The streets were filled with people running in every direction, trying to escape the unfolding nightmare. The sense of fear and uncertainty was palpable. People fled the streets around the World Trade Center, desperate to escape the inferno. The air was thick with smoke and the sounds of sirens adding to the chaos. First responders, their sirens wailing, raced towards the burning towers. Firefighters, police officers, and paramedics showed incredible bravery as they rushed into the danger zone, determined to save as many lives as possible. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., another plane, American Airlines Flight 77, crashed into the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m. The nation's capital was now under attack, adding to the growing sense of dread. The symbol of American military might was in flames. America was under attack. The events of that day would forever change the course of history, leaving an indelible mark on the nation and the world. Amidst the chaos and fear, acts of extraordinary courage began to emerge. Firefighters, police officers, and paramedics rushed into the burning towers, ignoring the danger, focused on saving lives. They climbed stairwells filled with smoke and debris, their faces blackened with soot, their eyes stinging. They carried the injured and guided terrified office workers to safety. Ordinary citizens became heroes that day. Construction workers directed people away from danger. Strangers helped each other escape the collapsing buildings. Doctors and nurses from nearby hospitals set up makeshift triage centers on the streets. In the face of unimaginable horror, humanity shone through. Section 5. Aboard Flight 93. Voices of Courage. The fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, departed Newark, New Jersey, bound for San Francisco. It was a routine flight, with passengers settling in for the long journey across the country. Little did they know, their flight would become a symbol of bravery and sacrifice. But this flight was different. Shortly after takeoff, the plane was hijacked by terrorists as part of a coordinated attack on the United States. The passengers and crew, learning of the attacks in New York and Washington, fought back against the hijackers. They quickly realized the gravity of the situation and decided to take action. Phone calls made from the plane revealed their courage and selflessness. They spoke to their loved ones, sharing their fears and their resolve to stop the terrorists. Passengers, some saying goodbye to loved ones, others reciting prayers, made a decision. They knew the risks, but they also knew they had to act to prevent further loss of life. They would not let the terrorists reach their intended target, believed to be the Capitol building or the White House. Their bravery in the face of such danger was unparalleled. Their act of defiance, their willingness to sacrifice their own lives to save others, prevented further tragedy. They banded together, united in their mission to thwart the hijackers' plans. At 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The site is now a memorial, honoring the brave souls who gave their lives to protect others. Their legacy of courage and sacrifice will never be forgotten. Section 6. Dust and Tears. At 9:59 a.m., after burning for 56 minutes, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed. The massive structure, once a symbol of American economic power, crumbled into a mountain of dust and debris. The collapse sent a cloud of gray dust billowing through the streets of Lower Manhattan. Those who could ran, trying to outrun the suffocating cloud. The world watched in stunned silence as, just minutes later at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower also fell. The collapse of the towers claimed the lives of thousands, including firefighters, police officers, and ordinary people going about their day. Section 7. A Nation Forged in Grief. In the aftermath of the attacks, a profound sense of shock and grief enveloped America. People wandered the streets covered in dust, searching for loved ones. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and the sound of sirens. The world watched, offering condolences and support. But amidst the devastation, a spirit of unity and resilience emerged. Strangers comforted each other. Communities came together to support the families of the victims. Blood banks overflowed with donors. Flags flew at half-mast across the country, a symbol of national mourning. Section 8. The World Remembers. The events of September 11th resonated far beyond American shores. The world mourned with America. Memorials were held in cities across the globe. Leaders from around the world offered their condolences and condemned the attacks. The attacks sparked a global conversation about terrorism and security. Countries strengthened their borders and increased intelligence sharing. The world, united in grief and outrage, vowed to stand together against terrorism. Section 9. The Legacy of 9/11s. The legacy of 9/11s continues to shape the world today. The attacks led to the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, forever altering the geopolitical landscape. Airport security measures were drastically increased, changing the way we travel. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of 9/11s is the spirit of unity and resilience it ignited. The attacks reminded us of the fragility of life and the importance of human connection. They showed us the best of humanity in the worst of times. We remember the victims. We honor the heroes. We carry the lessons of that day with us, striving to create a safer, more compassionate world.